15 behaviors of people who only use you and don't care about you. Have you ever felt that someone in your life isn't genuinely interested in you, but only in what you can do for them? It's that sinking feeling, like you're giving all you have, yet getting nothing real in return. Deep down, you sense something's off, but you hold on to the hope that things might change. The hard truth, however, is that some people only stick around for convenience, draining your resources, time, and emotions without any sincere commitment. In this video, we're diving into 15 behaviors that reveal when someone is using you. Recognizing these signs can save you from unnecessary pain and disappointment, empowering you to build relationships with people who value you for who you truly are, not just for what you can offer. Ready to open your eyes and reclaim control of your relationships? Welcome to Stoic in Your Life. 1. Inconsistent communication. One of the most telling signs that someone is using you is inconsistent communication. Think about that person who only reaches out when they need something. When you're the one seeking connection or support, they vanish into thin air, leaving you hanging. This inconsistency creates a deep sense of uncertainty, keeping you in a state of constant doubt about your significance to them. At first, this lack of regular communication might feel trivial, but as time goes on, you start noticing a pattern. You're always waiting for replies that never come, or responses that feel forced and shallow. When someone truly cares, they make an effort to stay connected, maintaining open and consistent communication even amidst their own challenges. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic emperor, once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Genuine relationships thrive on mutual investment. When someone values you, they make time for you, regardless of circumstances. Often, we fall into the trap of justifying their lack of communication, attributing it to their personal struggles or busy lives. However, this approach can end up distorting reality. In truth, if someone genuinely values your connection, they'll make room for it, regardless of how complicated their situation might be. A lack of consistent communication in this context is not merely a matter of distraction or life's busyness. It's a signal that they don't value the relationship as you do. To manage this, setting boundaries is essential. If you notice that someone only reaches out when it's convenient for them, it's time to reassess their place in your life. Ask yourself if it's worth maintaining a relationship where you're continuously sidelined, with your needs overshadowed by theirs. This isn't about shutting people out or being dismissive, but rather about creating a space in your life that allows genuine, mutually caring connections to flourish. In today's fast-paced world, we're surrounded by connections that are often superficial, driven by convenience rather than sincerity. Marcus Aurelius and other Stoic thinkers believed in focusing on things within our control. You can't change others, but you can choose how to respond. Prioritize your own needs and interests, not allowing another's inconsideration to shape how you feel or act. By placing boundaries and giving less of yourself to those who don't reciprocate, you create room for relationships that truly honor your time, energy, and emotional investment. This practice is not easy, especially when we're inclined to give others the benefit of the doubt or believe they'll change. But you deserve relationships built on a foundation of respect, consistency, and sincerity. 2. Lack of emotional support. A lack of emotional support is one of the clearest signs that someone may not genuinely care for you and is instead using you for their own benefit. When life's challenges arise, you naturally hope to have someone by your side who listens, understands, and provides comfort. But if you notice that this person seems indifferent to your struggles, shows little empathy, or even avoids talking about your feelings altogether, it's a sign they're not truly committed to you. You might share something deeply personal or painful, only to have them brush it off or pivot the conversation back to their own issues. It's as if your experiences and emotions don't matter, and that can be a deeply isolating feeling. It leaves you feeling alone even when you're in their company. And this behavior often goes unnoticed at first. You might rationalize it, thinking they're just distracted or busy. But over time, it becomes clear they don't offer support because they don't see your struggles as something worth investing their time and energy in. Let's think about this in the context of modern life. Imagine sharing a difficult day at work or a personal hardship with someone you consider close. Rather than listening, they might quickly turn the topic around to their own challenges, barely acknowledging yours. Perhaps they respond with a quick, "That sounds rough," before launching into a monologue about something entirely unrelated. This pattern might seem minor initially, but repeated instances of such behavior are incredibly telling. People who don't genuinely care for you rarely offer consistent emotional support, as they don't see any direct benefit for themselves in doing so. Over time, this dynamic can damage your self-esteem and make you question the validity of your feelings. You might start to believe that your emotions aren't worth anyone's attention or that sharing your struggles is burdensome, which is far from the truth. To deal with the absence of emotional support, take a moment to reflect on how it impacts you. Ask yourself, does this person genuinely add anything positive to my life, or do they drain me? People who truly care for you won't only be around when things are easy, they'll be there when life gets hard, willing to listen and provide comfort without expecting anything in return. A helpful approach is to seek out relationships with individuals who genuinely value your feelings and stand by you during difficult times. You don't have to settle for connections that are marked by indifference or a lack of empathy. Relationships should be reciprocal, filled with mutual care, and enriched by genuine concern. Surround yourself with people who uplift and respect your emotional world, as this will help you nurture a sense of inner strength and dignity. Ultimately, you deserve to be in relationships where your emotions are seen and valued, allowing you to thrive rather than shrink in response to indifference. 3. Disinterest in your life. A lack of interest in your life is a glaring sign that someone is not genuinely invested in you as a person. When someone doesn't care to know about your passions, your accomplishments, or even the struggles you face, it reveals a lack of commitment to building a truly authentic relationship with you. This indifference can show up in subtle yet significant ways. Perhaps they offer vague responses when you share something meaningful, or they never ask about your goals, dreams, or the little things that bring you joy. It feels as if they're only present on the surface, keeping the connection purely transactional without any genuine curiosity for the person you truly are. Such behavior can be incredibly painful because deep down, we all desire relationships where we feel valued, understood, and truly seen. But when you find that the other person shows no interest in your life, it's only natural to start wondering if you matter to them at all. And yet, this isn't a question of your worth. Rather, it's about their lack of commitment and willingness to invest in a relationship that goes beyond what's convenient or beneficial for them. One way to handle this lack of interest is to start paying close attention to how you feel whenever you share aspects of your life with this person. Do you feel that they're genuinely listening, or do you sense they're just waiting for their turn to speak? Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, wisely advised, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." If this lack of interest leaves you feeling ignored, undervalued, or like an afterthought, it's a clear sign the relationship lacks reciprocity. Rather than continuously pouring energy into a connection that feels one-sided, redirect that energy toward those who genuinely care about your well-being and your experiences. In today's fast-paced world, many of us have learned to accept relationships that are shallow or driven by convenience. But true connections are built on a foundation of mutual interest, care, and genuine concern. Imagine sharing a recent success at work or a personal goal you're excited about, only to receive a dismissive, "Oh, that's nice," followed by them steering the conversation back to their own concerns. Over time, these little moments of neglect or disinterest erode your sense of self-worth, leading you to question the validity of your experiences and the value of sharing them. This behavior reflects a transactional mindset, where they're interested only in what serves them, not in who you are or what you care about. To find peace and contentment in your relationships, start prioritizing connections where interest is mutual and meaningful. The relationships we invest in should uplift us, providing both support and enthusiasm for what we cherish. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When we surround ourselves with people who appreciate and value us for who we are, not just for what we offer, we begin to feel more connected, valued, and secure. So instead of settling for superficial connections that leave you feeling unimportant, focus on nurturing relationships that truly enrich your life. Remember, you don't have to settle for a connection where only one side is invested. Seek relationships that are reciprocal, where both people feel valued, respected, and genuinely interested in each other's lives. True relationships require effort and commitment on both sides, and by choosing wisely, you invite meaningful connections that help you grow and thrive. In the end, building such relationships not only enhances your own well-being, but allows you to offer that same level of interest and support to those who truly deserve it. 4. Emotional manipulation. Emotional manipulation is one of the clearest and most damaging signs that someone may be using you rather than caring for you genuinely. It often comes masked as subtle tactics, using guilt, emotional blackmail, or constant self-victimization to control your actions and influence your decisions. For instance, they might make you feel responsible for their happiness or well-being, nudging you to do things you don't want to do, simply to keep the peace or avoid an argument. This behavior leads to a toxic environment where you find yourself constantly trying to appease them at the cost of your own peace of mind and personal boundaries. Over time, emotional manipulation can lead to a cycle of compliance, where you slowly give up your autonomy to avoid conflict, and this erosion of your self-worth can make it harder to stand up for yourself. In this way, manipulation can act as a slow poison in your life, silently eating away at your confidence and self-respect. Those who practice emotional manipulation are often skilled at hiding their true motives, presenting themselves as victims or in constant need of your support. This creates a sense of dependency, where you start to feel indispensable, almost guilty if you don't fulfill their expectations. And that's exactly how they want you to feel: indebted and controlled. As Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, wisely stated, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." Recognizing emotional manipulation requires a certain courage, as it involves confronting uncomfortable truths and sometimes distancing yourself from people who don't have your best interests at heart. Manipulators thrive on your desire to help or your fear of conflict, making it essential to identify these tactics early on. When you see these signs, it's crucial to set firm boundaries, reminding yourself that you are responsible for your own well-being, not for managing someone else's emotions. To counter emotional manipulation effectively, learning to say no without guilt becomes vital. This simple word can feel powerful and freeing, allowing you to maintain control over your actions and protect your own peace. Marcus Aurelius, a guiding figure in Stoicism, emphasized the importance of self-control with his words, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By asserting your choices calmly and without guilt, you take back the control that manipulation seeks to undermine. Moreover, surrounding yourself with supportive people who can offer you a clear perspective on situations can be incredibly helpful. Trusted friends or family members can act as mirrors, helping you see through the fog of manipulation that can cloud your judgment. If you find yourself questioning your own decisions because of someone else's influence, take a step back and speak with a confidant, someone who values your well-being and can offer a balanced viewpoint. Breaking free from emotional manipulation is no small feat, as it often involves setting boundaries with people you may have deep ties to. But by refusing to yield to guilt-driven demands, you allow yourself the freedom to build healthier, more balanced relationships based on mutual respect rather than control. Remember, real relationships don't require you to sacrifice your self-worth or to constantly walk on eggshells. By learning to identify and respond to manipulation with assertiveness and clarity, You protect your emotional health and reaffirm your worth. When you take back control, you create space for genuine connections, ones where mutual support and respect replace the toxic dynamics of manipulation. And ultimately, this choice to protect your inner peace and prioritize your well-being is one of the most empowering steps you can take in life. If you're still watching, it shows you're ready to prioritize relationships that truly value you. Comment, "I choose respect," to affirm your commitment to healthier connections. Don't miss out. More insights are coming your way. 5. Lack of commitment. A lack of commitment is one of the clearest indicators that someone may not genuinely care about you, but is instead using you to serve their own purposes. When a person avoids making future plans or shows little interest in discussing the future of the relationship, it's a sign they may not view the connection as anything long-term. This avoidance creates frustration, leaving you in a constant state of uncertainty, questioning whether you can truly rely on this person to build something solid together. Think about it. Have you ever been in a relationship where the other person constantly sidesteps important topics, leaving you feeling like they're unwilling to commit to anything meaningful? This behavior often hints at a deeper truth. They don't see a future together and aren't willing to invest in one. Many times, this lack of commitment is cleverly hidden behind seemingly reasonable excuses like, "I'm just not ready for anything serious," or "let's just see where things go." These phrases might sound plausible at first, but when they become part of a recurring pattern, they reveal a reluctance to truly advance together. Over time, these excuses become a way of stringing you along without any genuine intention of committing. You may feel like you're the only one emotionally invested, putting in the effort while they remain on the sidelines, half-hearted and disinterested. Consider a story that may sound familiar in today's world. A friend of mine, let's call him Tom, had been dating someone who, for nearly 2 years, kept things vague, avoiding any real conversations about the future. Every time he brought up the idea of taking the relationship to the next level, she'd respond with the same old line about wanting to take things slow. It wasn't until he took a step back and asked himself if he deserved this ongoing uncertainty that he realized he was clinging to a connection that didn't offer any real commitment. In relationships, mutual commitment is vital. It's the glue that binds two people together with a shared vision for the future. Without it, one person ends up carrying the emotional weight alone, which eventually leads to resentment and emotional exhaustion. Stoic philosophy teaches us the importance of recognizing what is within our control and letting go of what is not. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself of this, believing that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When someone is unwilling to commit, you're left in a position where the uncertainty takes a toll on your happiness and well-being. So, rather than letting someone else's reluctance determine your path, it's crucial to set clear boundaries and protect your emotional health. One effective way to deal with a lack of commitment is by having an open and direct conversation about your expectations. Don't be afraid to express what you want and need from a relationship, and pay attention to how they respond. If they continue to dodge the topic or give evasive answers, it's a clear indication that they're not on the same page as you. At this stage, prioritizing your emotional well-being becomes essential, even if it means stepping away from the relationship. It's a difficult step to take, but as Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, put it, sometimes even to live is an act of courage. Stepping away from a connection lacking commitment requires courage, but it allows you to clear space for a relationship that brings fulfillment and genuine partnership. Commitment isn't just a romantic ideal. It's a foundational element in any successful relationship. Without it, the relationship lacks a solid base, making it difficult, if not impossible, to build something that will last. By choosing to surround yourself with people who are just as invested as you are, you not only foster a deeper sense of security, but also cultivate a partnership that encourages growth, mutual respect, and a shared vision for the future. If you find yourself with someone unwilling to commit, Ask yourself whether you're holding onto a dream of what the relationship could be, rather than facing the reality of what it is. This insight will free you to seek relationships where your time, love, and effort are met with genuine dedication. If you're genuinely committed to transforming your life and reaching new levels of fulfillment, consider resources that align with your journey, such as my ebook, Wisdom and Renewal, Guides to a Second Sunrise. It includes comprehensive guidance on personal growth and practical steps for financial stability, so you can embark on this journey with a balanced, grounded perspective. You can find more details in the description, and I'm confident that this resource will support you in building a life filled with purpose, strength, and meaningful relationships. Remember, you deserve to be with someone who's willing to build a future with you. Don't settle for less. 6. Exploitation of personal information. The exploitation of your personal information is a disturbing red flag that someone may be using you rather than valuing you as a person. This behavior often reveals itself when someone takes the intimate details you've shared with them in trust, your vulnerabilities, fears, or dreams, and uses them for their own gain, whether to manipulate, control, or even demean you. In healthy relationships, personal information is handled with respect, as a sign of mutual trust. But when someone leverages what you've shared for their advantage, it disrupts this balance, creating a toxic power dynamic that can leave you feeling betrayed and even powerless. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, advised, "Consider at what price you sell your integrity, but please, for God's sake, do not sell it cheap." Trust and integrity are priceless, and when someone disregards this, they undermine the very foundation of a genuine connection. This form of exploitation is particularly harmful because it attacks your sense of security and privacy, shaking the confidence you had in that relationship. Imagine confiding in someone you believe to be a close friend or partner, sharing your deepest concerns and past mistakes, only to find that they twist these confidences to suit their needs whenever convenient. Not only does this feel like a stab in the back, but it also affects your self-worth, making you feel exposed and vulnerable in the relationship. Over time, the betrayal erodes your self-esteem, as you're constantly reminded that someone you trusted doesn't truly care about your well-being, but only about how they can use you to serve their interests. To guard against such exploitation, it's essential to be discerning about what you share and with whom. If you begin to notice someone taking liberties with your personal stories or using your shared experiences against you, it's a clear sign that boundaries are needed. As Epictetus, another Stoic thinker, taught, keep your attention focused entirely on what is truly your own concern, and be clear that what belongs to others is their business and none of yours. Protecting your privacy and setting firm limits is not only a form of self-respect, but also a way to avoid being manipulated or feeling insecure. In today's age of oversharing, where social media and instant connections encourage us to reveal more than ever before, we must remember the value of privacy and selectivity. Just as a bank keeps its valuables secure, we must treat our personal information with care, sharing it only with those who've demonstrated their trustworthiness over time. When you see signs of personal information being used against you, consider distancing yourself emotionally from this person and, if necessary, reducing what you share. This doesn't mean cutting everyone off or distrusting others by default, but rather acknowledging that trust is something earned, not given freely. By prioritizing your own emotional security, you protect yourself from those who might exploit your openness and vulnerability. Remember, true relationships are based on respect and mutual support, where both parties feel safe enough to be themselves without fear of betrayal. If someone in your life is using your personal information as leverage, it's worth reevaluating the dynamics, and if needed, redirecting your energy toward connections that are healthier and more balanced. As you cultivate relationships based on genuine care and mutual respect, you'll find that the security and peace you gain are well worth the boundaries you've set. 7. Disregard for limits. Disregard for your personal boundaries is a powerful indicator that someone is more interested in controlling you than respecting you as an individual. When a person deliberately ignores or crosses the boundaries you've set, they're sending a clear message that your needs and desires are insignificant to them. This behavior is often camouflaged as closeness or intimacy, yet beneath the surface, it's a form of manipulation aimed at undermining your autonomy and making you uncomfortable in your own space. Boundaries are an expression of self-respect, and when they're dismissed, it reflects a fundamental disregard for who you are and what you need. When someone disrespects your boundaries, it's an intrusion into that essential power over your life, attempting to make you feel as if your values and choices don't matter. This kind of behavior can appear in many subtle yet intrusive forms. They might invade your privacy, make decisions on your behalf without consulting you, or push for activities and conversations you've made clear you're uncomfortable with. Over time, this erosion of boundaries can leave you feeling invalidated and controlled, as though the things that matter to you are consistently being sidelined. If you notice someone constantly overriding your personal limits, it's essential to recognize that this isn't an act of love or closeness. Rather, it's a disregard for your autonomy. In any healthy relationship, mutual respect is the cornerstone, allowing each person to establish and maintain their own boundaries without fear of reprisal or manipulation. A practical way to handle someone who disregards your boundaries is by asserting them clearly and consistently. Speak up about what you consider acceptable and what crosses the line, and don't be afraid to reiterate your boundaries if you sense they aren't being respected. Observe their response closely. Do they acknowledge your limits, or do they brush them aside? If they continue to ignore what's important to you, it's a strong indication that they don't value your well-being or autonomy. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, taught, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality," reminding us that setting boundaries and standing firm on them is often less painful than the alternative, allowing others to erode our self-worth and control our lives. In today's world, where relationships are complex and often blurred by technology and proximity, it's more critical than ever to define and defend what matters to you. We live in an era that sometimes mistakes constant access for intimacy, blurring the line between healthy closeness and boundary crossing. Reflect on the people in your life. Do they respect the limits you've set? Or do they attempt to push past them, making you feel guilty or uncomfortable for wanting space? Boundaries are not barriers. They are essential frameworks that protect your mental and emotional health. They aren't signs of selfishness or distance, but are expressions of self-love and mutual respect. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Maintaining boundaries is a way to nurture your inner peace and ensure that your relationships bring joy and respect, rather than unease and control. Embracing and enforcing them doesn't make you rigid. It demonstrates that you respect yourself and the space you need to feel secure. In relationships where your limits are ignored or belittled, consider reevaluating the connection, as people who truly care about you will naturally honor your boundaries without question or resentment. Surround yourself with individuals who understand that boundaries are not obstacles, but are pillars of trust and respect. Building relationships where your limits are acknowledged and upheld allows you to grow and feel valued in a way that is both freeing and empowering. Remember, when you protect your boundaries, you're not just defending your space, you're affirming your self-worth. The relationships that survive this self-respect are the ones worth keeping, and the people who honor your boundaries are the ones who truly care. 8. Avoid conflict resolution. Avoiding conflict resolution is a behavior that might seem harmless at first, but over time, it reveals a significant lack of commitment to the relationship. When someone consistently dodges addressing issues or conflicts that naturally arise, they're showing a reluctance to find solutions or to genuinely improve the relationship. This avoidance can take various forms, from changing the subject whenever you bring up a concern, downplaying your worries, or even emotionally withdrawing each time a problem surfaces. Have you ever noticed this happening in your relationships? When someone refuses to engage in constructive conversations, It's like sweeping dirt under the rug. The issues may be hidden for a while, but they don't go away. And in the long run, unresolved tensions start to pile up, gradually weakening the foundation of the relationship. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, wisely stated, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, facing challenges directly is essential for progress and strength, whether in life or relationships. People who avoid resolving conflicts often do so to maintain control, sidestep discomfort, or to avoid facing their own insecurities and responsibilities. Rather than confronting issues directly, they choose to ignore them, letting misunderstandings and frustrations fester. For example, think of a situation where you tried bringing up a recurring issue, maybe a disagreement over how time is spent, or a problem with communication, only for the other person to brush it off with a casual, "Let's not make this a big deal," or by changing the topic altogether. Over time, this emotional evasion leads to a disconnect, creating an atmosphere where it feels like the relationship is stuck in a loop of unresolved issues. In today's world, where open communication is often celebrated yet not always practiced, this kind of avoidance can be especially frustrating. Relationships thrive on mutual understanding and shared problem-solving. Without these, they're likely to deteriorate over time, leaving one or both people feeling unfulfilled and unheard. It's important to realize that conflict resolution is vital for the growth and resilience of any relationship. If the other person isn't willing to work on these issues with you, it's a clear sign they're not investing as much emotionally as you are. When we sidestep or dismiss conflicts, they don't just vanish. They settle into the background, quietly building tension and resentment. Stoicism teaches us the value of courage in facing uncomfortable truths. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Your reaction to conflict, choosing to confront it constructively rather than ignoring it, is a powerful indicator of your dedication to a healthy relationship. If the person you're with isn't willing to engage with you on this level, it may be time to question whether this connection can offer the deep commitment you seek. To effectively manage conflict avoidance, it's essential to communicate your needs and expectations clearly and assertively. Don't let the other person make you feel like you're being unreasonable or problematic for wanting to address an issue. Seeking solutions and desiring improvement in the relationship is not only your right, but a healthy approach to nurturing a lasting bond. When you express these needs and the other person continues to evade the discussion, it's a strong indicator that they're not prepared to commit deeply, which is a reality worth considering when you assess the future of your relationship. After all, a relationship that lacks the willingness to confront and resolve challenges is unlikely to stand the test of time. Healthy relationships are built on both parties' ability to face and resolve conflicts constructively. Avoiding problems doesn't make them disappear. On the contrary, it allows them to grow and intensify, often in ways that can silently erode trust and connection. Don't let this reluctance to resolve conflicts undermine the strength of your relationships. Seek connections where both individuals are willing to work together to overcome challenges and reinforce the bond. As you cultivate a relationship founded on honesty and mutual effort, you'll find that these small moments of conflict resolution don't weaken the relationship. They strengthen it. And in the end, being with someone who shares your commitment to growth and resolution will bring a sense of fulfillment that avoids fleeting peace and embraces long-lasting harmony. 9. Material interest. Material interest is one of the most obvious signs that someone may be using you rather than genuinely caring for who you are. When a relationship revolves primarily around what you can provide, whether it's money, gifts, or social status, it's a clear indication that the other person may not value you as an individual, but instead focuses on what you can give. This transactional dynamic can leave you feeling as if your worth is tied solely to what you possess, instead of being appreciated for your character, qualities, and true essence. People driven by material interest often reveal their intentions subtly but unmistakably through frequent requests for favors, an expectation of lavish gifts, or hints that they deserve more from you. Such a relationship is rarely sustainable because it is built on a foundation of benefits rather than genuine connection. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher, reminds us, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself and your way of thinking. This wisdom speaks to the importance of valuing relationships for their emotional depth, rather than what one can materially gain from them. In the context of today's world, where consumerism and outward status often take center stage, this type of material-focused relationship is especially prevalent. Consider how easily we can become entangled with individuals who place a high value on appearances and acquisitions. You might find yourself with someone who constantly hints at expectations, subtly pushing you to provide more financially or materially, making you question if they truly value you or simply the benefits of being associated with you. Over time, this focus on material benefits can erode your self-worth, creating a perception that your value is tied only to what you can give. This isn't just emotionally exhausting. It can also damage your sense of identity, as it limits you to what you can offer in material terms, rather than acknowledging the unique qualities that make you, well, you. If you find yourself in a relationship where material interests seem to be at the forefront, it's essential to recognize these red flags early and ask yourself if the relationship truly enriches your life or if you're merely being exploited for your resources. For example, if you decide to limit what you offer materially, notice how the other person reacts. A true friend or partner will value your presence, not your possessions. However, if you sense their interest waning or observe a noticeable change in behavior, when the flow of material benefits lessens, it's a likely sign they're more invested in what you can provide than in who you are. To address a relationship that seems grounded in material interest, take the time to evaluate its dynamics honestly, and don't shy away from reducing the material aspects to see if an emotional commitment remains. Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, once advised, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions but in having few wants." By dialing back the material focus, you allow room for relationships where both individuals can grow together, supporting each other based on shared values and mutual respect, rather than the superficial exchange of goods. True relationships should be marked by reciprocity and a focus on mutual well-being, not by a constant sense of imbalance or expectation. When a person prioritizes what they can extract from you over the time you spend together, it's a cue to reassess the role they play in your life. You deserve relationships that honor your individuality, where you're valued for the depth of your thoughts, your kindness, and your personal achievements, rather than your material assets. This kind of clarity not only fosters healthier connections, but also reinforces your own sense of self-worth. Remember, a strong relationship adds value to your life, supports your well-being, and celebrates who you are beyond what you can materially provide. So, trust in your ability to discern genuine interest from material motivations, and give your energy to those who value you in the absence of expectations. True companionship isn't about what you can offer materially, but about shared experiences, respect, and emotional depth. And in the words of Seneca, wealth is the slave of a wise man, the master of a fool. By keeping a clear perspective on the role of material wealth in relationships, you safeguard your happiness, ensuring that your connections are built on a foundation of sincerity and mutual appreciation rather than shallow gain. 10. Constant monologues. A person who monopolizes every conversation, speaking in a constant stream without regard for your input, shows little interest in connecting with you genuinely or understanding your perspective. This behavior is a clear sign of someone more invested in hearing themselves than in truly sharing a moment with you. In such interactions, your words often feel as if they fall flat, unrecognized and unvalued, which can leave you feeling invisible and sidelined. Imagine a scenario where instead of engaging in a mutual exchange, one person consistently draws the conversation back to their own experiences, disregarding the natural flow of back-and-forth communication. This highlights the importance of discernment in our relationships, understanding when to engage and when to step away from those who disregard our voice. A healthy conversation, like any balanced relationship, should be an opportunity for both individuals to share, express, and grow. When conversations lack balance, they do more than merely frustrate. They erode the very foundation of mutual respect, leaving one party constantly undervalued. By being endlessly relegated to the role of a passive listener, you're essentially being denied the chance to contribute, to feel heard, and to build an authentic connection. The individual who habitually dominates discussions reveals their lack of respect for your contributions and, perhaps more tellingly, their disinterest in fostering a meaningful relationship. This kind of imbalance affects self-esteem over time, and without intervention, it reinforces a one-sided dynamic where your needs and thoughts become secondary. As the Stoics remind us, we are each responsible for protecting our inner peace and integrity. Seneca once noted, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." And in this context, it's wise to reflect on how much value the other person places on your presence. A truly fulfilling relationship recognizes the worth of both individuals, granting each the space to speak and be understood. To shift the tone of these one-sided exchanges, try guiding the conversation gently toward topics that interest you, subtly interrupting the flow if necessary to reclaim your place in the dialogue. This doesn't mean competing for attention, but rather asserting your right to be part of the interaction. In relationships where the other person consistently ignores these efforts, it's a clear signal. They are less concerned with who you are and more with who they are. Maintaining your self-respect in such cases is paramount. Recognize the importance of finding individuals who value what you bring to the table and engage with you as an equal. After all, relationships should nurture your growth, not stifle it. Consider how much energy you want to expend on those who only take without ever giving you a chance to share equally. There is wisdom in curating your relationships, much like how Marcus Aurelius advises us to live with purpose and avoid distractions that pull us away from our true path. Seek relationships that are nurturing, ones where your words matter, where your thoughts are valued, and where, instead of mere monologues, there is a genuine exchange. 11. One-sided relationship. A one-sided relationship is one where it feels like only one person is truly committed to making things work, investing time, energy, and emotions, while the other person remains distant, showing up only when it suits their needs. This imbalance leaves you feeling drained, as if all the effort is coming from you, while they seem to vanish when you need them most. Such relationships can be deeply hurtful, giving you the sense that you're giving much more than you're receiving, and over time they can chip away at your self-worth, making you question your own value in their life. Think about a friendship where you're always the one reaching out, organizing meetups, and checking in on them. But when life gets challenging, they're nowhere to be found. Doesn't that kind of pattern make you feel unappreciated? It's a tough realization, but it's essential to notice these signs and ask yourself, am I putting in all the effort here? In one-sided relationships, the lack of mutual support shows up in everyday actions. You're the one initiating conversations, remembering the small things that matter, and being willing to make sacrifices to keep the connection alive. Meanwhile, the other person seems indifferent, present only when it's convenient for them or when they need something from you. This kind of emotional imbalance can wear you down over time, leading to frustration and disappointment. Picture a work colleague who's eager to grab lunch when they need advice on a project, but never has time when you're looking for a bit of support. Or a family member who expects you to be there at the drop of a hat, but brushes off your needs with excuses. These scenarios may feel all too familiar, reminding you that when the other person doesn't value the bond as you do, the relationship becomes unsustainable. To confront a one-sided relationship, the first step is recognizing and accepting what's truly happening. It can be hard to acknowledge, especially when you genuinely care about the person, but awareness is key. Once you've admitted the truth, you can decide how to proceed. Wouldn't it feel empowering to have an honest conversation about how you feel? If they're open to listening and committed to change, there might still be hope. But if they ignore your feelings and continue as before, it's a clear signal that they may not be willing to invest in the relationship's health. Reflecting on the advice of Marcus Aurelius in Meditations. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Prioritize your peace and self-respect by considering if this relationship deserves a place in your life. A balanced relationship, whether with a friend, partner, or family member, is rooted in equal effort and support. Don't let someone pull you into a bond where you're the only one carrying the emotional weight. Seek relationships where both sides are equally engaged, showing up for each other not just out of necessity but because they genuinely care. Remember, authentic relationships enrich and uplift you. They don't leave you feeling depleted. By choosing mutual connections, you foster bonds that not only strengthen you but also create lasting joy and support. So ask yourself, are you investing in people who also invest in you? Let this be a guiding question as you seek connections that truly nourish and honor you. 12. Lack of transparency. Next, a lack of transparency in a relationship is often a glaring sign that someone may not be fully committed or genuinely interested in building a deep connection with you. When a person chooses to be vague or evasive about their life while expecting you to be fully open, it creates an uneven, one-sided dynamic that fosters insecurity and doubt. If you find yourself in such a relationship where sharing feels more like a one-way street, it's natural to start questioning what they're hiding or why they hesitate to open up. As Epictetus once said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This applies profoundly here because clarity in relationships begins with understanding and setting boundaries for the openness you expect from others. In any healthy relationship, whether it's with a partner, friend, or family member, transparency forms the bedrock of trust and true connection. When someone isn't forthright, it puts up a wall between you, making genuine intimacy impossible. This behavior can show up in many forms, from vague answers to straightforward questions, to avoiding certain subjects or worse, lying about significant details. Over time, the lack of transparency creates a sense of uncertainty, where you're left second-guessing everything and never quite sure where you stand. This ambiguity becomes emotionally taxing, especially if you're investing in the relationship openly while they're hiding behind partial truths. Imagine a friend who's mysteriously absent when you ask about their weekend plans, or a partner who dodges questions about their past. Such evasiveness can chip away at your trust and leave you feeling uneasy. To handle a lack of transparency, it's essential to approach the situation with clear communication and let the other person know that honesty is non-negotiable for you. Express that you value openness and expect a similar level of transparency in return, as it's the foundation upon which trust is built. If they persist in being reserved or evasive, this reluctance might indicate they're unwilling or unable to commit to a truly open relationship. Consider asking yourself, am I willing to continue investing in a relationship where I can't fully trust the other person? Without trust, there's no firm ground upon which to build something meaningful or lasting. The absence of honesty and transparency can lead to a relationship filled with doubt, which over time can erode your sense of security and happiness. Don't allow a lack of transparency or honesty to become a norm in your relationships. Seek bonds where clarity, sincerity, and mutual trust are priorities, and where you feel confident in the other person's openness. Remember, as Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, and by extension, the quality of the relationships you keep. By fostering connections grounded in honesty, you pave the way for bonds that truly enrich and strengthen you, rather than leaving you feeling uncertain or insecure. 13. False empathy. False empathy is one of the most deceptive behaviors someone can display in a relationship, as it involves pretending to understand and share your emotions when, in reality, their interest is shallow and self-serving. This behavior often goes unnoticed at first, as words and gestures can seem genuinely caring. But over time, you start to realize that their empathy never turns into real support when you need it most. Instead of showing authentic concern, false empathy is a tactic, a calculated method of keeping you close without having to invest any emotional energy. It's a kind of emotional sleight of hand that, if not recognized, can leave you feeling deeply disillusioned and even manipulated. Think of a person who consistently says, "I understand what you're going through," or "I feel so sorry for you." Yet when things get difficult, they're nowhere to be found. Their sympathetic words lack the essential backbone of action, revealing an empty sentiment that shows they're not truly invested in your well-being. False empathy can be especially damaging because it toys with your emotions, leading you to believe you have someone you can rely on, only to find out that in moments of hardship, that support was a mirage. This type of behavior is like a fair-weather friend, someone who is around when things are easy, but vanishes when life gets tough. In such relationships, the superficial empathy may initially feel comforting, but as you begin to see the repeated absence of any supportive action, the relationship feels hollow, draining, and untrustworthy. Imagine how this undermines your trust over time. It's demoralizing to realize that you've been investing emotional energy into a relationship that, when tested, offers nothing in return. In modern life, where genuine connections can sometimes feel rare, it's essential to distinguish between people who are truly empathetic and those who merely perform empathy to keep up appearances. To handle false empathy, pay attention not only to what's said, but to what's done. Words are easy to say, but actions reveal the true nature of someone's intent. If someone repeatedly says they care but is never there for you in practice, it's a red flag. This disconnect between words and actions is something Marcus Aurelius and Stoic philosophy frequently address, as authenticity and integrity were pillars of their teachings. Stoicism encourages us to focus on character and action, reminding us that the people we surround ourselves with should be trustworthy and supportive. So, if someone's empathy feels inconsistent or insincere, don't be afraid to question it. You deserve relationships where people not only understand your struggles, but are willing to stand by you, proving their empathy through real support and commitment. Reflecting on the advice from Seneca, another Stoic sage, associate with people who are likely to improve you, reminds us of the importance of seeking connections that nourish rather than deplete our emotional lives. By looking past hollow sentiments and focusing on people whose empathy is as steadfast in action as it is in words, you protect your emotional well-being and foster a network of genuinely caring relationships. In these relationships, empathy isn't conditional, but a given, a mutual foundation that sustains both in good times and bad. Don't let false empathy cloud your judgment or give you a false sense of security. Instead, seek bonds where care is shown through genuine support, knowing that these are the people who will stand with you, not just in words but in deeds, through life's challenges and triumphs. 14. Open doors for others. Keeping doors open for others while in a relationship is a clear sign that someone may not be fully committed to you. When a person continues to flirt, maintain backup options, or stay in frequent contact with people they might see as an alternative to the current relationship, it reveals a lack of genuine commitment. This behavior might seem harmless on the surface, like simply being friendly, but it speaks volumes about their unwillingness to invest deeply in a serious, exclusive relationship. Imagine being in a relationship where, instead of feeling secure and valued, you constantly sense that the other person is hedging their bets. They might say things to reassure you, but their actions, like keeping certain people close as Plan B options, suggest otherwise. Marcus Aurelius once advised, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Relationships are built on trust, and when someone leaves these figurative doors open, it shakes the foundation of trust necessary for a lasting bond. This behavior is destabilizing because it creates a lingering feeling of insecurity and uncertainty. When you know you're not their only option, it can deeply affect your self-esteem and confidence in the relationship. Over time, this knowledge becomes emotionally exhausting, as you find yourself questioning your importance and whether they would truly choose you above anyone else. Consider how draining it is to wonder if your partner is fully present in the relationship, or if they're already entertaining thoughts of who they might pursue next. In modern dating culture, with endless social media connections and digital distractions, it's all too common to come across people who keep their options open. To confront this situation, it's essential to discuss your expectations openly and without fear. If exclusivity, commitment, and loyalty are values you hold dear, don't hesitate to express them clearly. Direct communication not only clarifies your needs, but also tests the other person's readiness to commit to those same values. Pay close attention to their reaction. If they downplay your feelings, brush off your concerns, or make excuses, it's a strong indication that they may not be willing to close those doors and fully commit. After all, if someone truly values the relationship, they will take your concerns seriously and work to reassure you through their actions, not just their words. As Epictetus teaches, it's not what happens to you but how you react to it that matters. So instead of waiting and hoping that their behavior will magically change, take note of how they respond to your boundaries and whether they're willing to make changes that show respect for your needs. In a healthy, lasting relationship, both people should be willing to close those open doors, commit fully, and leave no room for lingering doubts about loyalty or priority. You deserve a partner who isn't juggling other options or reserving emotional energy for potential alternatives. Real love means choosing each other over and over, without hesitation or reservation. If you find yourself competing for their attention or feeling like a fallback option, it might be time to reevaluate if this relationship aligns with your vision of a fulfilling and supportive partnership. Seek relationships where both partners are willing to invest fully, where trust and exclusivity are non-negotiable, and where respect for each other's presence allows you to feel safe, valued, and genuinely prioritized. Only in such a setting can you cultivate a connection grounded in mutual trust, exclusivity, and respect. Thanks for watching till the end. If you're dedicated to recognizing who's real in your life, let us know by dropping "Boundaries Matter" in the comments. Hit subscribe and stay tuned. There's so much more to discover on this journey. 15. Inconstancy in actions. Inconsistency in someone's actions is a clear indicator that they're not genuinely invested in you, but are keeping you around only when it suits them. This behavior often appears as a cycle of warmth and attention, followed by unexplained periods of distance and detachment, leaving you feeling like you're on an emotional roller coaster, never quite sure when they'll be there for you and when they'll disappear. This inconsistency breeds confusion and self-doubt, making you question not only your own feelings but also the true nature of the relationship. As Seneca once observed, "A gift consists not in what is done or given, but in the intention of the giver." True connection requires steadiness, yet when someone is only there sporadically, their intentions become suspect, hinting that they may only value the relationship on their terms and at their convenience. This behavior is particularly harmful because it manipulates your expectations and emotions, creating a cycle of highs and lows that leaves you perpetually guessing. One day they may act fully present, offering you affection and attention, and the next, they may treat you as if you're invisible. Such erratic behavior keeps you in a constant state of vigilance, wondering what version of them you'll get each day, and it's exhausting. Over time, this inconsistency can wear you down emotionally, leading you to doubt not just their feelings but your own worth in the relationship. In today's world, where digital communication allows people to appear and disappear at will, this kind of behavior is all too common. To manage inconsistency in others, it's crucial to set clear expectations for what you consider acceptable behavior in a relationship. A partner or friend who cares about you should be willing to maintain a basic level of reliability and commitment. If they struggle to offer this, it's a sign that they may not value the relationship in the same way you do. While we all experience ups and downs in life, consistent respect and consideration are non-negotiable for a meaningful connection. These words remind us to choose relationships that reflect our values and self-worth. If someone's instability in their actions is affecting you negatively, it may be time to ask yourself if this is truly a relationship that honors your emotional health. In a healthy, stable relationship, consistency is foundational. You shouldn't have to wonder how someone feels about you or when they'll next be available. Relationships thrive on mutual reliability, where both actions and words align, fostering a sense of safety and support. Stability and trust are essential for building a lasting and meaningful bond, and it's reasonable to expect consistency from those who genuinely care about you. When someone's actions fail to match their words, it's often a sign that their commitment is lacking. Seek relationships where you can feel secure and valued, knowing that the other person is as invested as you are in maintaining a steady and supportive connection. You deserve a relationship in which you're not left questioning or waiting, but one that builds you up with reliability and trustworthiness, offering you the emotional stability that is key to long-lasting happiness. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the 15 behaviors of people who only use you and don't care about you. Recognizing these signs is a powerful step toward building healthier, more fulfilling relationships. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like, share it with someone who might need this insight, and don't forget to subscribe to Stoic in Your Life. Turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos designed to bring clarity, strength, and resilience into your life. Stay strong and remember, you deserve genuine connections.